Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? New backdrop. I'm not in the house anymore. I'm at the actual office now. We're in downtown, beautiful downtown Toronto. Just about to begin winter, I guess. It's been sort of starting up a little bit.
Yeah, it's gotten cold.
Not
Quite cold
cold.
already.
Snow's
Some
coming,
snow
but it's
coming.
not staying.
Nope.
Yeah. So looking forward to kicking this off. We're starting to build a nice little base of subscribers in our very modest, small podcast efforts here. So we're at 49 subscribers right now. So 50th subscriber, and it mail you a sweet tennis tote. There's actually nothing on the
I love
back,
it.
but
Get it. Get us a zoom in, like give us a detail shot.
this is actually
Vintage.
vintage because
It's a vintage tennis tote.
it's an older one that we did that we still keep them because we love them. And it was screen printed, right?
Screen printed, high quality cotton.
Yep.
Like we went all out on that one.
Yeah. So 50th subscriber. I guess I never really thought about how we would communicate with this person. So if you are the 50th subscriber, you can find me on LinkedIn, Marcello Gortana, and I'll know if you're the 50th because we get notifications. Just hit me up and I'll coordinate some shipping.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, that's pretty
So
sweet.
today,
You want to start off with the
so we thought about talking a little bit about associations, but I don't think this is really specific to associations. I'd say it's like any member-based organization because they have a lot of their own nuances and pain points compared to some of the corporate clients that we work with. And we see a lot of similarities in how associations are approaching web. They also have a really high demand for digital experiences because of being a members led organization. So oftentimes a lot of services are actually being delivered through the website. So as a whole, I would say associations have, on average, a more complex need for web services.
totally.
Yeah, does that make
Yeah,
sense?
like they've got they've got members to manage, potentially clients to manage, along with members, partners to manage. It is a
Yeah.
very rich ecosystem and it varies from association to association.
Services, accreditations, education. There's also just a lot of opportunity in the web space to just get further ingrained with members and like increase engagement. A lot of associations are doing different things online and offline. So it's kind of interesting to compare and see how they're actually approaching membership engagement. And yeah, we have quite a few association clients. So we're going to kind of jump into like what we see in terms of the tech stack, the approach, and what works, what doesn't work, why you would potentially go in certain directions. So Simon, why don't you kind of kick us off on the tech landscape?
Awesome. Yeah. When it comes to the tech landscape, like you said, it's pretty varied and it always comes back to what the association needs are. I liked your point about education because some of these associations have like a full LMS baked in. And we're going to throw around a lot of acronyms. There's like AMS, CRM, LMS, EMS. Like, how many more acronyms can we layer in here? Should be a contest. But ultimately, you're going to have two types of systems. There's like the monolithic and the modular systems. And those two systems differ pretty wildly in terms of why you might choose one over the other. But the way we like to frame it is monolithic is what's called a tightly coupled system. It means that everything is like baked into it. So there's like the LMS, the CRM, the CMS, the AMS, all of that is usually encapsulated into a single product. You pay like one subscription fee. It's probably under a services contract, who knows, but it's monolithic, right? It's big. Do you have any examples that we've talked about in the past?
Yeah, I guess it would be like IMIS.
Yeah, IMIS is a good one.
IMIS is the
That's
most
a big
common
one.
software, and yeah, I feel like when it comes to websites, these AMS softwares usually offer web. It feels like they're doing so many things well when it comes to like member management, and they see a small little opportunity that they can bridge into web, and so they offer all these services that are really good, and then they've kind of been like, oh, we can also do websites if you want to do a website with us, and
Yeah.
it feels like a lot of times it's just an sort of like half-baked, like thought because it's not really their core business.
It's totally half-baked. Yeah, all the time. I think HubSpot they kind of do the same thing with their landing pages, and it's the same thing. Different industry. I mean, some associations use HubSpot, but same issues. They're great at a CRM, but then they've got well, we also do landing pages, kind of half-baked landing pages. So.
I also think that like similar to our last podcast, I can't remember which episode it was, but we talked a lot about requirements gathering before you're sourcing something. It feels like oftentimes, I mean, everyone struggles with this, but associations go with the AMS because they haven't really mapped out their requirements. And so it just feels like a natural fit. And then you end up in a position 12 months from now where you're like, we need to reverse this because we can talk about more of those reasons why, but there are some weaknesses to taking that approach versus like a website and AMS.
Yeah, totally. So that's roughly tightly coupled, and then the second was loosely coupled. We'll cover that out first, and it's where you see the more modular, composable stacks that you were just hinting at. Loosely coupled is like you're combining multiple systems and services into a bigger ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So it does spread out your surface area of services, but there's benefits because you can swap things out down the road. It's something that can grow with you rather than just shelling out the time and dollars for a monolithic version. You can go with the modular version that scales with you and you can turn things off or not include them. I think
So let me ask you a question before you finish that thought.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think, I've been trying to figure this out myself, but what is the reason why someone would go with a tightly coupled or monolithic system like an IMS or an AMS? Like, what is the big pro there for doing that outside of the software that's unique to them?
Yeah. It's
Like,
what
why
you
would you
mentioned
go? Why would you
earlier,
get your website there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like the whole requirements gathering thing is really important because you have to know what problems you're solving before you make this decision, hopefully.
Yeah.
And not only is it what problems am I solving, but it's also what's the makeup of my team. And I actually have a really good framing for monolithic versus modular that I think will resonate with people so that we can get rid of the jargon. It's a monolithic stack. It's like buying a pre-furnished condo. It's convenient, but you have to live with whatever you get inside, right? And we all know what some pre-furnished condos look like, right?
Do we? I haven't seen a pre-furnished condo my whole life, I don't think. Okay, sorry, go on.
Yes. Maybe, yeah. I don't
Maybe
know.
like an
I'm half looking.
Airbnb,
Yeah, there you go.
pre-furnished
Oh no.
condo.
Oh no,
Right.
this analogy will break down with Airbnb, but it's funny. It's funnier that way. So yeah, monolithic, pre-furnished condo or home or whatever, Airbnb. And then the modular is like the composable stack. It's like you own the house or the property, but you have more responsibility. However, you can design it any way you want for a long term. You can add on to it. You can swap the furniture out. If you want bigger freezer, you can do that. So it's way more composable and modular, and you're not stuck with whatever someone else decided they thought you wanted or needed. So the one thing there, like to wrap that analogy up, it's like the right model depends on team capacity, digital ambition, and the appetite for change, I would say.
I think budget too. I think the AMS web bundle, I mean, it's a subscription, so it's cheaper it's more of an OpEx versus CapEx, I guess.
True.
Operating expenditure versus capital expenditure. Like I totally see some smaller associations. I mean, it seems to be very common actually with smaller associations, and I just assumed that that's because you're spending an operating capital versus like an investment in the website and then layering on operating cost.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, like you get to a point eventually where the flexibility and the goals and objectives of the website and all of the third-party software become more important than the money that you're saving on a monthly basis going through like a AMS for your web, right?
Totally. You've mentioned some of the gripes that clients have about IMIS or even our prospects, right? They're
Well, the
on
big one
IMIS, but
yeah. Well, the big one we had was the association that was trying to decouple, which is a huge issue, right? Like that's an expensive task after already implementing everything. And the big reason for that association was that a lot of the non-IT, it was an IT decision in that association, but a lot of the marketing and strategic senior leadership teams were not happy with the tools they were using for their job. So you basically can't use any best in class tools if you're operating on something like an IMIS or an AMS because they have all that baked in. And in that specific instance, the pressure from marketing was like, we don't want to use these tools. They're not the best in class tools. Like there's so many products out there for fairly simple tasks that are huge funded product driven companies and they just can't use any of them because it doesn't integrate with anything once you go with that sort of like monolithic approach. Yeah. So they were
yeah.
basically trying to figure out how to decouple, or like do like a middle ground where I think we talked, I can't remember Simon, but there was like some middleware or something that what we were talking about building between the monolithic tech and the third party integration so that they could potentially still keep it and have something that communicates between the two.
Mhm.
You may not remember, but anyways, it's complicated and yeah, pretty pricey to redo all of that. And the
That's
sort of
true.
middle ground is even more complicated because now you're building custom software to do all that communication, right? So
Yeah, yeah. You kind of lock yourself into purely working with specialists, whereas the modular approach, a lot of these tools are API driven,
mhm.
and APIs integrate with anything like Python, JavaScript. Like there's so many ways you can connect it. Whereas if you have a monolithic system, you're usually working within the machinery of that tool, and they're usually built in things that require specialist engineering knowledge. So
Yeah, and I think also like, we talk about these monolithic tools, but they do a lot of different things. Some of the things they do are really good and we would recommend using them in some instances. I think where we're coming from is specifically when you're trying to do everything, including the website and like any sort of member interaction or member features, like doing everything from the AMS is, I think, not basically. If you haven't got the gist yet, I think it works for. There's like some associations that it works for, but the associations that we work with we pretty much never recommend that actually. I mean, they might still use it for some services, like I said, but when it comes to web specifically, like we're never recommending out of the box website solutions.
yeah, I think my biggest gripe with monolithic systems, as good as they can be, it's just that usually the features are so half baked. Like
Yeah,
like you said earlier, it's just that the distribution of quality is so uneven in the monolithic tools that like you'll get sold on one great thing and then you get in there and you're like, okay, well this one great thing is cool, but then the 20 other things that they sold me are like missing something.
yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, I think we're both big proponents of the like loosely coupled approach, but obviously you
Hmm.
have to make a business decision on what's going to work best for you, and we like having those conversations and we're opinionated. But yeah, awesome.
That's
Well, one thing we didn't cover out is portals. I feel like portals could be a whole other conversation, but we talk about how the portal is the product of some of these association websites, and you should think about it as this like a separate web application because it usually drives so much. There's like
it.
payments, recurring payments, member management, education. With one of our clients, there's like all of their coupon codes and things for their members is behind the gated interface. And that level of UX for member-based associations is not always there. Like we see a lot of
Yeah,
these legacy brands come and they're missing that. And when they miss that, they're missing the opportunity for engagement and retention. So not having a portal or having like a real half-baked portal is a huge miss for associations. And with these uncoupled or lightly coupled tools, you can get there.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think you also have some pretty good suggestions for like getting started. Like, how does someone even move forward with starting this? Because it sounds like a big conversation.
Yeah, I think, like we said earlier, like if you're, I mean, a lot of it's driven by a website. So at least from the interactions we have. So doing like good requirements gathering and building out a list of requirements and goals and converting that into features. We talked about this previously. Is really important because I think you can easily just go into this thinking like, oh yeah, this is a best in class software, but then maybe not engaging other stakeholders like that example that we were talking about with the marketing team. Um, and just making sure that you've got everyone's need mapped across the organization, and then prioritize it, I guess, and figure out like what are nice to haves, what are must haves in terms of the functionality. Then basically just mapping that back to whatever is being sold to you from an AMS and maybe demoing it, things like that. I would also
Totally.
think
Oh
about
man.
what is the best in class software for whatever it is that your marketing team or your finance team or your membership team is trying to do. Because if you can't use the best version of that, there's another layer of like, okay, well, what am I giving up if I can't? And then the
Yeah.
last piece, I think I'm thinking of stuff unpack this. It's just like thinking about the future of the website membership experience. What are some goals on the roadmap? Because some of that may not be achievable with an AMS, and you may be in a situation where you need to reverse all of that. So I think it's just proper requirements gathering and road mapping. It's really the only thing that I think would be super. It's not that complicated. You just need to understand like how you want to use it, how you want to use the website in the future, and start to map those things out. How other stakeholders want to use it, what the goals are, prioritize those, and then
Yeah.
figure out whether you can meet those goals or not, basically.
Hmm. I think a
And then
couple.
obviously budget, right? Like if you
Yeah.
you just can't afford a loosely decoupled setup, then you may have you're kind of none of the rest of it matters, but it's still a good exercise to have for the future.
Yeah. So you can make an informed
Hmm.
decision. And there's a couple I would add as well. Like I love the idea. You have to map it. Definitely map it. Map the systems you have. Map the operation systems that you're currently
Hmm.
using, whether they're related to the web or not. Like one of your examples from a prospect was that someone would create an account and it would take 15 minutes before they would receive an onboarding email. Like, and that's because the systems weren't talking to each other. No one sat down and mapped that out. They just
Yeah,
implemented it and now they're stuck with like, well, this is slow. And that friction is really unpleasant for everyone. And then it's also
yeah,
unpleasant to your service team because they have to hear about it all the time from your members. But so yeah, part of the mapping could just be also looking at a consolidation strategy because we also see a lot of associations have so many different sites, like micro sites here on Wix, on Squarespace, on the AMS, and they're like, what are we doing here? How do we
yeah.
consolidate all of this? So that's
Sure.
part of the mapping for sure. And then you hinted at this, the demo. Man, the number of people that do not demo software before committing to it, it's blows my mind. It's a huge investment. You're gonna be stuck with this thing for years, and it's like test drive it. And if the people selling to you are not making that available for you to test drive in a meaningful way, that's
That would be
an issue.
strange. Yeah.
Very strange. So strange. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Well,
Sweet.
so yeah, want to wrap up?
Yeah.
Killer.
Want to
All right.
end it off for us?
I'll take us out. Yeah. So as you can tell, like our opinions on both monolithic and modular definitely mixed, needs to fit to the business strategy and the type of businesses and services that you're connecting with. All of it's going to start with mapping, but our opinion is that associations as well as B2B is also just an underserved part of the sector by our industry. And frankly, the ones that are serving that area are not serving them terribly well. So I think that's why you get some of this like half-baked technology being sold without a lot of due diligence around it. So yeah, if you're an association, know someone at an association, connect with us, subscribe, and then as
And
Marcello
get this
said,
sweet tote for number 50.
yeah, number 50, get the tote. All right,
Awesome.
killer. Well, thanks,
Okay.
man.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.